at the Louis Stokes Midwest Center of Excellence about applying to graduate school, in particular, how to prepare a competitive application package to get the support, to support your graduate study. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so today I want to talk about a very practical aspect of graduate education. If you're interested to apply to graduate school, financial support for your graduate study is a very real aspect you must consider as part of your planning process. And I want to talk about some of these resources, where you can find them, particularly federally sponsored graduate programs, and how to, more importantly, I would like to use an example, which is a program I managed to demonstrate how to, put together a competitive application package to help you to stand out, to get the support for your graduate study. Feel free to send your questions, and if we don't have opportunity to address them during my talk today, please feel free to send me through email afterwards. We can keep communication afterwards. So, okay, let's get started. So how to pay for graduate schools? And there are lots of tutorials or articles actually about this topic out there on the market. If you do a quick search, if you Google them. And I found this summary from US News. I actually think this one is actually a pretty accurate summary of the ways that you can think about to pay for graduate school. So the first thing, get your boss to pay. Okay, this means that you get a job, and the company will pay for your graduate study. The silver lining here is that the company would expect you to go back to company, along the career track, to pay them back. So that's called investment return to the company. But this is if you really like the company, if you really enjoy doing, work with the company, this is certainly something to consider. Secondly, you can secure a scholarship, fellowship, internship, training grant from different sources. I will talk about a little bit more, on the next slide. The good thing about this option is that these grants do not require you to, there is no contract for this grant, for this type of grants. You will get money, and then based on merit, and then afterwards you'll be free to do whatever you are interested to do. And the third option is work for school. For graduate students, your hourly pay will be higher than undergraduate student, and then also the type of work you do, usually of substance, such as research assistantship. You will actually be a researcher in completing a project with somebody more senior or on your own. You can also serve as a teaching assistant, such as grading and then helping with the lab experiments. The third option is to borrow money, not from bank. I do not recommend you directly borrow bank, but look into federal loans for low-income students. Even your parents, your family has a lot of money, but if you're become independent, you're not getting support from your family, this is also an option for you, because once you're not a dependent of your parents, yourself belong to the category called low-income student, and most of the graduate students are because as graduate students, you have much less chance to get support from your parents. So for this, I recommend you to visit Department of Education website for more information using keyword FAFSA. So what this means is that the free application for federal student assistance. You do not need to scribble this down on a paper. You will have a copy of my presentation afterwards. So you can copy those words and then do your search. Another option is that once you are in graduate school, it's really important to keep in mind the tax code you can really take advantage of some of the tax code that are tailored for support studies. You can actually take up to 2,000 tax deductions annually. You can find details at the Internal Revenue Service website using the keyword Federal Lifetime Learning Tax Credit. So this will be a great help on your tax return at the end of the year. So this provides some general strategies or ways to pay for graduate school. And we do not have time to go through all those, each of them. So today I'm going to focusing on the second option, scholarship, fellowship, internship, training grants for graduate students. So in this category, there are also lots of different types. Depends on who are providing the money to the graduate students. So university endowed, usually every university on campus, you will have an office. Sometimes the office is actually called fellowship scholarship office. Sometimes they call graduate financial aid. If you do not have such a office on campus, you can also contact graduate school or graduate study at your university for such information. Another type of university endowed fellowship scholarship is at the department level. Usually individuals, alumni usually, they really like the department. To show their appreciation, they will actually leave heritage to the department, dedicated to support graduate students to pursue their graduate degrees. So for this, I highly recommend you talk to your graduate advisor, graduate program coordinator in department, and graduate the chair of department. Usually they will give you good pointers about this kind of grants. So this is one big type. Another type, another big sponsor of scholarship fellowship is from private foundations. The well-known ones, the big ones, Kaufman Foundation, Alfred Sloan Foundation, Hearst Foundation. All these private foundations, they have a public website. You can go there and then search for graduate scholarship or fellowship, internship. You will find information right there at your fingertip. So professional societies also offer different type of scholarship, fellowship, but some of these societies may require you to be a member, student member, to be qualified to apply for their support. And also, I highly recommend also look into National Consortium for Broadening Participation. A very famous one and very successful one is called GEM, National Consortium for Graduate Degrees for Minorities in Engineering and Science. So this consortium actually consists of a group of scientists and universities. They can actually pair a graduate student with a mentor and then provide support to complete part of your graduate training with a scientist. So Southern Regional Education Board also has a doctor scholarship, a scholars program. They are very well known, and I also highly recommend you to look into this option. So today, I would like to, in this an hour, I'd like to focus on federally sponsored grant award program for graduate students. This is also my everyday work, so I feel like I have some experience to share with you to help you to, if you're considering apply to the graduate school. So I listed some of the big departments here, National Science Foundation, NSF. You all know NASA, NIH, National Institute of Health, Department of Defense. There are three parts of defense, Army, Navy, Air Force. Each of them will offer their graduate fellowship and scholarship. Department of Education has a very famous McNair scholarship program for graduate students. Department of Energy has a few, and I will focus on talking about one. Department of Agriculture, Department of Transportation, NOAA, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Labor, etc. So almost all the federal government agency provide have programs for graduate students. So you may not be aware about these opportunities, and I really want to bring this opportunity to you today so you will have knowledge of these programs, and hopefully you also share with your peers, with other people, so they know about these opportunities and can actually take advantage of them. Okay. So where to find federally sponsored graduate programs? This is the website. Okay, this is the website. And this is a search portal for both students and university to discover these programs. So to clarify, this is not a website for a single program. This is actually a portal that including lots of programs from lots of government agencies. Once you identified a program or programs that you like, you can find the links. The link is directly listed on this website. You can click the link on this website. That link will lead you to the federal agency's website, so you can find specifics of the programs you're interested in. So let's see. Okay, this is actually the website. Okay, I just show you the website address. And on the left-hand side, you can see under narrow results, there are sets of filters. I will show you the details of what each of these means on my next slide. So on the right-hand side, actually, these are started listing programs. Now it's all programs, all the programs. And currently there are 50 results, okay, you can search from. So it means 50 opportunities you can search from. Okay, let's see what are each of these filters means. Yeah, because it will be difficult to look through each of those 50 programs, but these filters will help you to, zoom in on like 5 or 6 that you really like, fits your needs. So for the filter graduate program type, there are programs can be fellowship, can be scholarship, traineeship, internship, research collaborations, scientific meetings, graduate thesis research award, supplemental graduate research award, a prize challenge, university institution-based awards for graduate programs. So it depends on your needs. You can use this filter to find your program. For graduate level filter, there are 3 options. If you're only interested in master's program, you only need to look into those master programs. Some of these programs do not support masters. Some of them support both masters and PhD. Some of them also support technical certification program. So you can use this to fill that down. STEM discipline, these are typical disciplines you are familiar with at university, so help you to locate a program in your discipline that you can connect with. Institutional location, this is where, so this is where the training, okay, this is where the training that money would support would occur. For example, almost all the fellowship and scholarships occurred at your school, so you do not need to go to a different place to use this money. But some of this program, you may need to go to a lab, like a DOE national lab. So some of this program, you will go to an industry or private company. So there are different locations for where the activity occur for using the money. And also, this is a list of federal agency sponsors, meaning who has the ownership of those programs. Let's see. Okay, the geographical region. This one is where you can. Where is the region that you can use this money for your graduate activities? For example, if you're interested to, to have some international experience, you can select international. And actually, I tried this some time ago. It will came up about over 20 programs actually offer opportunities for international graduate experience. So this is okay. So this is the website. Again, this is the website. And then once you're at this website, you can use the filter under the narrow results to find out the programs that you really like, and then focus on those programs. Once you find out the programs you like, you can click on the link, which is the blue colored on the right-hand side, and then you can click that link. That will lead you to the dedicated program website, so you can find the details, like what are the requirements, what are the qualifications for those programs, and how much money they will provide for you to use, how long you can use them. So this is how you find those resources. And usually for almost all these programs, federal government supported program, you will be asked to complete an online application to compete for the grant because they are merit-based. So, and then the selection is solely based on the materials is submitted in the online application. That make the application package is very important because they can really help you to open a lot of doors. They can really invite opportunities to bring you to a whole new world of experience for your advanced study. So for almost all the application package, either official transcripts or some formal credentials are required to verify your academic background. Usually at least 2 recommendation letters will be required. Awards, honors, publications, research experience, both in your high school, undergraduate study are very important. And usually the application will require you to complete 2 or 3 essays. This is usually less than, let's see, less than 500, sometimes about 800 characters. So they're very short, and you will be asked to describe your goals, either life goals or professional goals. What do you expect out of the graduate program, and how well you have been preparing for apply to the program, and how would you expect the program to impact your graduate study and the achievement of your goals. So for doctoral level program, usually the application will require you to submit a project proposal or research statement, such as the example I will be used. So at this point, I want to take a pause and then ask everybody if you have any questions so far. Because so far we're talking about something, like overview, where you can get, how to get support for your graduate study, where to find these opportunities, these programs. And in the rest of my presentation, I will be switching gears a little bit. I will start using a real program, which I manage, to demonstrate. To demonstrate how to prepare for the winning application package together. So, okay, I'm seeing a question here. How honest should you be in applications? That's a very good question. I'm actually gonna get to that. I would rephrase your question. I would, phrasing it as you can, this is so in terms of integrity, we're talking about ethics, you always need to be honest. But here in this context, to me, I would phrase it, you should be strategic. And then how to, be strategically completing your application package, so make you stand out. Okay. So, okay. Let's. Oh, okay. So, okay. Well, like I said before, the fellowship, all the fellowship and let me see how much help editing of the application should we give? So let me address the honesty question. The honesty question is a fellowship scholarship usually do not have contract. So if you're not going to work in the transportation sector, you will not be punished by that. Also, I don't think any of this program will ask you to promise that you will be working in the transportation sector. They will certainly say that this program will help to prepare workforce for transportation related jobs or transportation related work. But I do not believe, and I don't see any program will ask you to commit to, to get into the transportation sector and then show that in your application. That will never be a criteria for evaluating application, at least based on my experience. Think this way, all the reviewers know, even you said that in your application, nobody can guarantee that it will be true. Okay, so the requirement will not require that actually. I hope I addressed your concern. Okay. As an advisor, how much help editing of the application should we give? So as an advisor, certainly mentoring is necessary in all the cases, but I'm not sure how much editing should be given to the application, because the reviewer can see through the editing. If the application, particularly when you look at the research proposal, that looks too perfect, reviewers actually will be questioned if that's a real product developed by a student. Not that reviewer will not be trusting that a student can produce a very high quality writing, but the reviewers are smart enough to tell the difference of something that actually written by an advisor, a senior researcher, and then a graduate student. So certainly mentorship are always needed, in helping students to put application together. But the actual editing, that part I am not sure personally, because the reason I said before, the reviewer actually can see through that. If too much editing on the advisor part actually can hurt students' chance. Yeah. If a student is currently in the graduate program but doesn't have enough support to complete a program, would such a student be eligible to apply for any of these fellowships? So you're in the graduate program but doesn't have enough support to complete the program. So sufficiency or insufficiency of the support to complete the program is not a criteria for fellowship. Your merit, meaning the quality, how good your idea is proposed in the research project, how well prepared, what kind of experience you have. These are the things will help you to get fellowship. So I will talk about eligibility shortly. How about let's wait and see. So thank you for your questions. How about at this point, let's move on. I think the question already provide a very nice segue, so we can move on, start to look at a real program. And we can also touch base back on these questions has been asked. Okay, and then we can continue communicate. Okay, so the example I want to use is a program I manage. It's still ongoing. It's actually getting bigger and bigger. It's called Office of Science Graduate Student Program, Research Program. So before we get to the specifics of the program, let me do a little bit advertising of DOE Office of Science. We are the largest federal support of basic research in physical sciences. And we support over 22,000 PhD scientists, graduate students, undergraduate students, engineers, and support staff at more than 300 institutions across the nation. And we're also a big provider for scientific user facilities. This picture you are seeing here on the left-hand side is actually is a picture of SLAC, the lab that co-located next to the Stanford University campus. It's a linear accelerator for light source. Okay. So here are some more examples of the tools for scientific study. If you look at this Jaguar here, this actually is a Jaguar high-performance computing, called supercomputer, high-performance computing system. Everybody hear about the web, weather forecast every day, and behind that weather forecast, there are lots of computing effort going on because you need to crunch data from your region, your city, and then sometimes all over the world in order to do accurate weather forecast. So Jaguar is such a type of computer that you can use to do those kind of big data crunchings. Okay. So another type of user facility is light source. If you look at the picture from left-hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth picture, this big ring shape, this actually is located in Argonne. If you're in the Chicago area, the Argonne National Lab is in Lamont. So this big ring system is a big accelerator. The particles can be accelerated again and again through this circle to such high speed and intensity that the light source can break the material to small atoms. So the scientists can study the material atom by atom. Another use of these big accelerators, particles accelerators, is to cure cancer. So because the light source are with high speed and high intensity, they can precisely target it at those cancer cells and then kill them. without damaging any of the tissues or materials around the cancer cell. So those are some practical use of the light source. You can also see here listed Joint Genome Institute for Rapid Whole Genome Sequencing. They have a huge database of genome sequencing. If you're interested, you can volunteer to give out your genome sequencing as part of the database, okay, for scientific research. But it's solely volunteer basis. And there are also neutron sources, such as at the Oak Ridge National Lab. If you're close to Tennessee, Kentucky, you may want to visit those locations. Okay, so these are just some of the examples of scientific user facilities. This is also a map I want to share with you to show the national DOE's national laboratories. As you can see across the nation, they're colored differently because they have different focus. The ones colored in blue, they actually, we call them has stewardship by Office of Science. So they conduct basic research in all scientific, almost all the scientific areas. You can see the large ones, you know, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, SLAC National Lab, West Coast, Pacific Northwest National Lab, and on the East Coast, you have Brookhaven. This is actually close to Long Island. Princeton, this Princeton Plasma Physics Library, this is actually co-located with the Princeton University. Also, Thomas Jefferson National Accelerator Facility. This is close to Virginia Beach in Newport. Close to College of Williams and Mary, if you're close to that area in Virginia. Oak Ridge National Lab is in Tennessee. Savannah River National Laboratory. And in the middle, you have Ames in Idaho. Iowa. I'm sorry, that's way off. We do have Idaho National Laboratory on west side. Okay. Fermi National Lab, also in the Midwest. Argonne National Lab, they're very close, about an hour drive from each other. If you're in the Chicago area, I highly recommend you visit these locations. So if your university, you know, if your university or your residents are close to any of these national labs, I highly recommend you find out the days they offer public tours and then go visit them. It'll be, I promise you, you will have an eye-opening experience. So DOE national labs, there are a total of 17 of them. They are great assets for workforce development. They're also one of the big employees in the United States. So I recommend you consider, you know, do not forget the DOE national labs when you look for jobs. Also, as an undergraduate student, there are also undergraduate internship, but today is not the focus for undergraduate internships, so I will leave that to question afterwards if you're interested to ask me. I can connect you with our officers that are working in that area to get you more information on that if you're interested. Okay, so Office of Science support a graduate program called Office of Science Graduate Student Research Program. The acronym is SCGSR. The goal of the program is to prepare graduate students for STEM careers critically important to the DOE Office of Science mission by providing graduate thesis research opportunities at DOE national labs, any of the 17 national labs. So you can find full program details, including eligibility and application requirements at the website, and also online application system. So currently, the most recent application cycle was just closed right before Thanksgiving. And we're going to open a new cycle of application sometime next February. So if you're already in graduate school, I highly recommend you consider this opportunity. So here are the key dates. You do not need to write this down. It's all on the website. Also, I will you will have a copy of my presentation today. So and the upcoming. This is the ongoing 2016 solicitation 2 is the ongoing cycle, just closed November 21st. The upcoming solicitation will start in February 2017. Okay. Okay. So for each of graduate programs, you will see a list of research areas that you can apply for support. So these are the research areas for SCGSR. They're organized in 6 areas. The first one is advanced scientific computing research. If you're really good at math, interested in doing mathematics or developing computer-related algorithm, or do testing of software, you can certainly consider some of the area under this category. The second category is basic energy sciences. So if you're interested in studying materials, nanotechnologies, or using computational methods to study materials, or using experimental methods, probes like a electron or scanning probes, microscopy to study material, you can consider some of these areas in the basic energy science. Also in this area, we this year have a new area called basic geosciences. Basic geosciences study, phenomena related to land, rocks, basic geography, phenomena. So also you can, if you're interested in studying crystal-related structures, you can apply to crystal growth. Okay. The third area is biological and environmental research. If you're interested in studying genomics, genes related, plant science related to bioenergy, or environmental science, particularly environmental modeling, Earth system modeling, global climate modeling, you can consider to apply some of the areas under this category. The fourth category is fusion energy sciences, plasma related science and technology. Also, some of you may be interested in studying some of the large machines, like remember the Higgins boson at LHC, that Geneva research center that made a really big news year before, the new particles that discovered by the scientists. So that's high energy physics area. And then the sixth area is the nuclear physics. Okay, nuclear physics. So and then in the nuclear physics, there are experimental oriented, they're theory oriented, and then also computing oriented. So depends on your interest, you can consider some of these areas. Okay. So that is sort of the overview of the SCGSR program, the goal, the key dates, and then the research area. And here are some of the key elements. So one of you asked eligibility. So eligibility, for example, for this program, there are 4 eligibilities. The first one is you must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. I would say for almost all the federally sponsored graduate program, this is a given. You must be a U.S. citizen or legal, lawful permanent resident in the United States. or territory in order to be eligible for applying for this program. The second one is you must be enrolled in full-time in a qualified graduate program and have achieved PhD candidacy at the time of application. So the third one is graduate research. Your graduate research must be aligned with a SCGSR priority research area. Remember the big area list I just showed you? So DOE Department of Energy Office of Science is what you call mission agency. So the requirement is that we're getting our funding from Congress because we're doing work in support our mission, in carry out our mission. So defined for us by the United States, you know, as a nation. So we're obligated to providing funding to support work in the mission area. That's why the research that we support must be aligned with one of our mission area listed before. The fourth criteria is you must establish collaboration with the DOE scientist at the time of application. So those are the eligibility requirements. So to your question, if you're currently in the graduate program but doesn't have enough support to complete the program, that will not, if that's your only problem there, that will not affect your eligibility, because as long as you satisfy the eligibility I just explained here, you are completely qualified to apply to this program at least. So this program offered two types of award benefits. One is up to $3,000 a month for general living expenses while you are working on-site at the lab with a scientist, and also reimbursement of inbound and outbound traveling expenses to and from the DOE lab. So inbound means coming from your university where you live to the DOE lab, because you're going to spend a couple of months working on your research project at the lab with a scientist. Outbound means when you complete your project, you're going back to your university from the lab. So those travel expenses are covered. Okay. Okay. So let's see. So before you start a application package, it's crucial, I want to emphasize, you must know how your application will be evaluated. So a question before says, how honest should I be? Okay, how honest should I be? So I hope this addresses your question. So because all these programs, the type of programs I'm talking about is really merit-based. So they're evaluated based on merit, okay, based on merit. Your goal to get into transportation sector, I'm not sure that's qualified as a merit. Okay, so you can see the merit here for our program, for the SCGSR program. The first one is scientific or technical merit of the proposed research. And then there are 4 questions to elaborate on, on this criteria. This is really about if you have a good research idea. Okay, this is really about if you have a good idea. Okay, that's the first criteria. The second criteria is relevance to of the proposed research to graduate thesis research and training. Is that how much your dissertation or PhD dissertation in particular can benefit from this project you're going to do with the scientists at DOE lab. Because this program requires that your proposed research project at the DOE lab must be a tangible part of your PhD dissertation. So expectation there is that after you complete the project, whatever you have completed at the DOE lab should be, become one or more chapters in your dissertation. So this is much more beyond a simple research experience you would expect from most of the internship programs. Okay. So the merit review criteria, like I said before, extremely important. I highly recommend, before you start preparing your application, really read very carefully about, the merit review criteria, understand how your application material, all the information you provided in your package will be evaluated. And then, based on the merit review criteria, strategically emphasize your strength and put a very competitive application package together. Do not lie, because you can lie in one places, but we're all human. You may remember to lie in one places, but forget to lie in other places. And then when people look at the application, it will be a complete package. They look at everything. And inconsistency will invite a lot of questions about authenticity about materials submitted. So it's very important, actually to your benefit, to be honest, but be strategic, think strategically. And your basis for thinking strategically is really the merit review criteria. So I hope I addressed your question about honesty. Okay, so these are the application requirements for SCGSR. And then these are very standard required fields that you need to input in the online application, your contact information, U.S. citizenship, or legal permanent resident status, academic information, professional information, the contact of people who will be writing your recommendations, and also justification of alignment of your proposed research project to one of these areas that listed before. And the second required application as part of this package is a research proposal, because this is a doctoral level program, so a research proposal is required. Usually for almost all the doctoral level graduate support program, you will be required to submit either a research proposal or research project statement, either way, but they're always required. And for this program, there's a 3-page maximum limit and full guidance provided online. This is the web URL, the website you can find the guidelines for research proposal. And as part of the application package, you're required to provide official graduate transcripts and proof of PhD candidacy. These two materials are to be used for verifying your enrollment in a PhD program and your PhD candidacy status. So essentially to verify your eligibility, okay, if you're eligible to apply to the program. And you're required to provide 2 letters of support, one by your primary graduate thesis advisor and the other by collaborating DOE laboratory scientist. So here I would like to take opportunity to emphasize that you need to learn to develop a productive relationship with your graduate thesis advisor. Graduate thesis advisor can be very helpful in helping you to get, to compete for really great fellowship, graduate scholarship, and then research awards. If you have a bad relationship, it might not be helpful for you if you wish to pursue such opportunities. So I would highly recommend to nurture that relationship and then develop a productive relationship with your graduate thesis advisor. Okay, so here is a main page of online application system of SCGSR. The system is designed as a smart system, so it's actually quite pleasant to use the system. You do not need to worry too much about the, how to remember not to accidentally input this or, like exceeding the length, character limits of writing an essay. The system will prevent you from exceeding the limits actually automatically. The system also will prevent you from accidentally submitting incomplete applications. Also, you have the flexibility to submit and unsubmit numerous times as long as they're before the deadline. So the federal government invested a lot of money in developing advanced IT systems. So application systems for graduate support is part of this IT system. So this is something I think you will really like as part of the experience, working with federal government. Okay. So I will go through next several slides, talk about specific technical aspect about putting a application package. So you can see here, must provide truthful, clear, complete answers to all required fields. Okay, you can lie in one place, but we're all human beings. We will forget, okay, we will forget. So, and then inconsistency, but the reviewers, they will look at your application as a whole package, okay, and then usually there are several reviewers to evaluate each application. So when they look at it, you may forget, said something here, but forget to say the same thing in other places. But when review look at it, inconsistency is very easy to be identified. Once the reviewers, realize the inconsistency, it will give a bad impression. So I highly recommend to be truthful, to be clear in your answers. But as I mentioned earlier, really understand merit review criteria before you start writing anything in your application, and then think strategically, and then really make an effort, think hard to make sure your strength really stand out in your application, rather than saying something that's not truthful that may hurt your chances. So, okay. So online system, this is here about official graduate transcripts. This is part of the requirement as part of the application package. In almost all the graduate program, you will be required to provide either official transcripts or some form of credentials to show your academic background. So I want to emphasize one thing is that when you provide official documents that will include your personally identifiable information called PII, you need to make sure to redact those documents, remove information such as social security number, date of birth or partial, student ID to protect your identity. So you don't want to start application for graduate support. It's a good thing, but inadvertently giving out your identity information that hurt your identity somewhere. So this is something I would like to bring to your attention. Also, usually the size of official transcripts should not be bigger than 10 megabytes. Otherwise, you will have technical difficulty to upload them. So for the official proof of PhD candidacy status, some of the official transcripts will show the candidacy status. If the transcripts doesn't show that, you can request an official letter either from your university registrar's office or a signed official letter from the chair of your academic department. So I want to say a few words about what makes an official letter. So in my experience working with students, looking at their applications, I realized that sometimes some students do not have the experience of putting an official letter or getting an official letter. So sometimes they will submit something. Even sometimes the university of department chair may not have experienced done such thing before. So they will submit a document thinking that's an official letter, but actually may not be acceptable when people look at it for evaluation. Your chance for getting a award may be hurt because of unqualified documents. So I want to emphasize that. So keep in mind, what makes an official letter? That letter should speak in terms of content. The letter needs to speak very directly and specifically to the requirement. Okay, eligibility. Here is the PhD candidacy. And the writing style should be formal and professional. It shouldn't be casual, okay? Shouldn't be oral language, should be formal. Also, the letter should be using the organizational letterhead, and then has a specific date when the letter was developed. Also, the letter should bear the official title and the contact information of the letter writer. Also bear the signature at the end of the letter writer. So these are the basic elements to constitute an official letter. I hope you keep in mind when you see any program, any application require you to provide an official letter, make sure you have at least these elements. Okay. So the documents you provide will not hurt your chances inadvertently. Okay. So getting online recommendation letters, please make sure to provide accurate contact information of the people who will be writing your letters. Okay, so the online system will know the invitation for getting the letter should be sent to who. I get experience that students input the wrong email of one of his references, in the online system, and then invitation never get to the people intended to be. So the letter never arrived. So this is something regrettable, but can be avoided if you just pay a little bit attention. We'll input their emails. Make sure to provide program information, which program you're applying for, and then your accurate information. So the people who are writing letters can speak very specifically to the correct program about your qualifications. Because, your advisor may have several students, and then he or she may be asked for writing a recommendation letter for, for Mary, for John, for several other students, and for different programs. So it's really important that you provide correct program information, which program you're applying for, and your accurate information. So make the job for your advisor easier. Okay. I did get recommendations that said, I'm writing this letter. I know that John is applying to this program, but that program is not the correct program. Okay, so you don't want that happen to you. Once you start the application, do not wait. Ask for recommendation as soon as possible. Okay, do not wait for the last minute. Your advisor and the people who other people who are writing letters for you need time to come up with a strong recommendation letter. Okay, human touches, human contact is extremely important. Nowadays, many of us use devices in communication with others. But in this case, keep in mind, please, keep a human touch with the people who will be writing recommendation letters for you is very important. It's very important. Okay, so I will skip this because the time limitation, but I would like to bring your attention to this. So we talked about a lot about the technical aspect about the preparing a strong application package. But that's only half of the work. What I think is important, the other half is really your mental preparation, your attitude, how you see yourself in applying for this program. So to me, it's really important you see yourself as the lead developer, as a leader. You are the good writer, okay, and you are the thoughtful coordinator. You're all three, okay, you're all three. Okay, so what do I mean by a lead developer? So you know your idea the best, and then because the innovation originality will be highly valued, so your idea represents you on the paper. So it's really important you take ownership of your ideas, to be the leader, to sell your ideas, okay? Sell confidently. And as I mentioned before, read very carefully the merit review criteria and make sure to fully understand the requirement before you start application. Be truthful, think strategically, make your strength shine through your application. Do not lie. Okay. And proactively communicate with the people who will be writing recommendations for you. Also, do not hesitate. Always ask. If you have any questions, okay, ask program contact for help. Okay. In this case, ask the program for helping identify a collaborative DOE laboratory scientist. You know, the chances are that you've never been into a DOE national lab. And today, you actually, the first time heard about DOE national lab. You do not know anybody in DOE lab. So you have no way to establish a contact by yourself. So do not hesitate to send email to our program, and we will help you to establish a connection. So do not hesitate to ask the program's help. Whatever you do in the application will not hurt your chances. The most important, what we want to do as a federal program is to help you to put it together a strong application, so to increase your chance to get award. Okay. Okay. Make sure to have all required materials and information ready in the online system before the submission deadline. This is a given, but I just want to remind you, do not forget to do this before your submission. Being a good writer. So good ideas are really important, but it's the good writing will make you stand out immediately. Remember this. You have a good idea, very important, but you need good writing to let other people to appreciate your idea. So it is very important you put a lot of effort on writing, okay, on writing. So when you write, in your writing, focus on what is essential and then keep the answer writing concise. All these online essays that required in the application package will have a character limit, space limit. So you really need to develop a habit of say things to the point and then get to the point quickly. Okay. Write as clear as you can and read it many times before submission. And I was born in a foreign country in China, actually. So I'm not all confident with my writing. When I write something, I always ask other people to proofread. I highly recommend you to do the same, even you are born here, to ask other people to proofread your writing before submission. It's very helpful. Okay, it's very helpful. Be a thoughtful coordinator. You may already know this, but if you do not have the habit of doing this, I strongly recommend take the opportunity, develop a habit, be a thoughtful coordinator. Do not wait for other people to get you started. Start the process yourself and early. Also, do not assume that your advisor and the collaborating scientist will automatically know their expected actions for your application. because they're senior people, they're more experienced. But also keep in mind your advisor and people who write letters for you are very busy. They have tons of other responsibilities and commitment. And it's really important you know everything. You're the one who knows the best about what you need. So you really need to educate your advisor and then the people who write letters for you what you need from them. You know, educate them about this program opportunity, about what you need from them. During the process, if you're developing a proposal, it's very important to keep in touch with your thesis advisor and the collaborating lab scientist so they know, you know, what changes you have made to the original ideas, you know, you developed together. Again, I want to emphasize again, put a personal touch beyond the virtual and digital world. Yeah. Send an email, send a thank you note. Okay. So keep a very productive and good relationship going. That will help you last a long time. So this is my last slide. I want to leave you with resources and contact. If you have, if you want to explore this resource more, if you have questions, you know, to follow up after this meeting, you can directly contact me. My personal email is listed on the first page of this presentation. And here I also listed the contact email for the SCGSR program that I just talked about. So you can use either email to follow up. The resources for graduate federally sponsored grant program is listed here. I also listed here undergraduate program. So if you still have, you know, 1 or 2 years to go in college, you may think about, you know, undergraduate level federally sponsored grants program. For example, you can spend your last year, senior, you know, graduating senior, meaning that you already completed all the classes, but you need some time as transition before you get into a job. You can use that time actually, you know, get the support to go to a DOE national lab, do an internship. So I thought that would be interesting, you know, to get supported, get paid, and also get experience. Okay, get experience. And again, you're not obligated to work for DOE afterwards, so don't be afraid. Okay. Resources for the program I just talked about. You can find program information and how to apply. Okay. Again, if you have any questions for me for the program that we talk about in this presentation, you can find my personal contact information on the first page of this presentation slide, and then the program contact information on this last page. So that completes my talk today. Sorry, it's a little bit over time. I hope you're enjoying it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, it's really nice to have the opportunity speaking to you.
Does anyone have any questions out there for Dr. G? If not, I wrote that the slides will be available on the website in a couple days under the digital resources area, as will a recording of the entire event. Yeah, and if you haven't sent me your email, please do so in the chat room here so we can get the evaluation link out to you. I know a couple of you did when you first came in, but I know a couple came late. So if you haven't given me your email, please do. You can mute your microphone, Dr. G, unless
okay.
you want to talk some more.
I'm down here. Yeah, I'm down here. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
very
much. We'll be in touch
thank
with you.
Deb. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.